time to welcome our panelists. So please give a very, very warm welcome to Merlin, Federico, and Galitt. Thank you all for being here today for this special tribute. Now, just a few words to introduce you. Merlin, we are very happy to have you with us. You are Jane's grandson, and you have spent the last decade supporting the institute in Tanzania, where you were born and raised. And much like your grandmother, you are well versed in both conservation, science, advocacy, and leading youth initiatives. Welcome. And thank you for being here. Bienvenue à Paris. Federico, you are a primatologist and the executive director of the Jane Goodall Institute in Senegal and Spain, co-chair of the Global African Programs. It's wonderful to have you with us. Thank you. Welcome. And Galitt, I think many of you in this room may know you. You lead the Institute in France and coordinate its action across the territory, and you're also co-chair of the Global Strategic Committee of the Jane Goodall Institute worldwide. Bienvenue à toi aussi et merci pour cet hommage. So, as we honor the memory of Jane, I wanted to start this conversation by evoking your personal connection with her. So, can you tell us about a memory about Jane, with Jane, that would allow our audience to learn something about her and her philosophy, something that they don't know? Merlin, you're her grandson. Let's begin with you. What's your memory you'd like to share?
All right. So thinking back, one of the things that comes to mind, just to give people an idea of who Jane was, who my grandmother was, she really was the real deal, by the way. We got to Gombe, this was about 5 years ago or so, and there was a spider that built a web in between her door and the hallway to get to her bed. And I remember the lady who helps us clean the house coming and saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. She must have built this web last night. Let me quickly remove it." And Gaj, by the way, I refer to her as Gaj instead of Grandma or Jane. And Gaj was like, "No, no, 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 no. What are you about to do? Do not do that." And just imagine this like 87-year-old woman, right? Crawling on all fours to get in and out of her room every single day, just so that this spider doesn't get disturbed. And the spider wasn't disturbed the whole time that we were there. It was about 2 weeks. And at the end of it, it actually had a really good ending, because we called her Jezebel. Jezebel found a partner, and 2 or 3 weeks later after we left, there were eggs, and there were many little spiders, and Jezebel moved out. So she didn't only preach, but she walked the talk. Every single individual mattered.
Walking the talk. You are lucky to be a grandson. Huh? It must have been quite amazing growing up by her side. Galitt, how about you? What memory would you like to share?
Actually, I've always been very impressed by Jane's relationship to time. The way she had to think on the long term, her ability to always take time, with each other. Everyone who met her knew that when they were speaking with her, like Merlin is doing right now, she was looking just at you. You were feeling like the most important person in the world, like if nobody else was existing even. And I remember a moment where she was in Paris last year for her speech for her history at UNESCO, and you were there. And she was meeting with some youth people, and they were young people that were 16, 18 years old, and they were telling her that they were helping homeless people with their dogs in the street, and how they could have veterinary care. And she had a very important and very official meeting just after. And when the meeting was coming to an end, so I went to see her. I was the timekeeper, and I told her, I'm sorry, it's the end. And she said, don't you see, they're a little bit shy. It's going to take the time it takes. That's it. And that was so her. You know, really, it was a kind of lesson of life. The way she was living it, just it became a motto of the institute that every individual matters. But she was just, it wasn't words for her. It was her life.
Yes, and really leading by example, a true leader. Federico, what is the memory that you'd like to revive?
Well, I met Jane at a conference in Barcelona in 2007. I was so moved by her inspiring words, her amazing life, that I decided to become a volunteer right away for JGI Spain. And then I quit my job and I joined JGI, and I started traveling with her in Spain and also Argentina, Portugal, other countries. So in the last 19 years, I was very fortunate to see Jane the icon moving millions of people, and Jane the person, also this humble, very consistent person, being incredibly inspiring to everybody, leading by example. I remember she was so autonomous. We would always have a little fight over who would carry her luggage, because she wouldn't let me. Or I was trying to bring her breakfast or lunch or whatever. She wouldn't eat. She was like a tree. She had a bit of water, 2 cherry tomatoes, maybe a glass of whiskey at the end of the day. That was it. And so I tried to bring breakfast, and she would say, no, I have saved a roll from the last country I visited, and I'll probably hit it in the iron in her hotel room. Or she would make coffee with ground coffee and a stocking. She was like that. She was very simple, very autonomous, and she spent a lot of energy doing interviews, meeting authorities, and then the little rest time she had was used for emails from her room. And then we rushed to a conference, and with the little energy she had left, she would give the most magnificent speech. No hesitation, no reading, tackling global issues and local issues, thanking everybody, and people would be moved from apathy to empathy, from concern to action, from despair to hope. And it was Jane's magic. Everybody waited at the end with tears in their eyes, with a smile, and for just to say thank you, just to hug her. Yeah. And she would be there for 1 hour or two, making sure that every one of them got a hug or whatever they needed. That was Jane.
And you were lucky to have known her for about 20 years. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing these wonderful memories with us. And I know there are many, many more. It was hard to choose. Merlin, as we mentioned, you carry a very personal connection to Jane. What does her legacy mean to you today?
When I think about her legacy, one analogy comes to mind. She used to talk about hope, and the way she would describe it sometime, she would tell me, think of hope as this light at the end of the tunnel. There is no good you just sitting there and hoping that this light is going to come towards you. You have to go for it. You have to get around, underneath, over those obstacles, push them aside, and get to the light at the end of the tunnel. It was hope rooted in action. It was not hope sitting back and hoping things would work out. I feel that was one of the things that she spent her life driving and trying to get people to realize that we have to be hopeful, but only when it's combined with action.
Yes, absolutely. It's through hope and through action, actually, that you meet hope as well. Absolutely. And talking about what you are working on currently on the ground, what does conservation and engagement of local communities look like in Tanzania, where you work?
I think one of the most important conservation successes that we have had in Tanzania was the approach that was actually introduced by my grandmother. And this is evident in all of the programs that we're working in right now. It is local communities, the people who are engaged on the ground, need to own the solutions. They need to feel part of the whole process from the very beginning. So, how Takari started, and Takari is a community led approach to conservation, was that she got community members, representative, I think it was like 12 of them, and asked them to go back to the communities to ask them what they felt, how they felt JGI could help them. So these guys go back to the communities and they came back with the answers. And conservation wasn't one of the agendas that mattered. What they wanted was clean water. They wanted better, more agrable land to grow food for their families. They wanted better education system, better healthcare, and that's where we started. Conservation came after as an effect once their livelihoods were improved. And when they come up with these solutions, when they identify the issues, they don't say that, oh, you guys came and helped us and built all of this. We did this ourselves. So they own it. And this is also evident in our youth-led program too, Roots and Shoots, is working with the children, asking them to determine what issues that they are seeing and asking them to come up with those solutions. And when they do it, they feel proud. And even when you're not there, they continue. So this is what I feel conservation for us in Tanzania has been and why it has been successful.
And currently, you're focused very much also on science, but also on tech and AI. Can you tell us just a few words about that?
Yes, AI, I believe, is a very controversial subject right now. But what I believe is that the genie is out of the box. We need good people to use this emerging technology for the better. And the way we've been using some of this immersive technologies, by the way, I work for the conservation science team as part of my job. And it's all about how do we utilize emerging technologies to help us with conservation. And one of the very interesting systems that we're working together with Microsoft is actually open source, so anybody can use this, is integrating an AI in a system that we call Sparrow. And this system is basically installed in the forest with camera traps and bioacoustics, so eyes and ears, right? And instead of going back every once a month and seeing what data you've collected, and by then it's a month old, you can program this agent to flag the data of interest. So let's say a new chimp comes in that we haven't seen before. We've been teaching this agent to recognize chimpanzees' faces. It can let us know, oh, there's a new chimp at this area, and then the researchers can go exactly and figure out where it's from, get the samples of its droppings or urine, and figure out if it's part of the DNA of the chimps that we've been studying or not. Or, for example, a threat, right? You can program the agent to realize that the sound of a chainsaw is a chainsaw, and it flags it up. So we get the information, we inform the law authorities to go out and check it out there. So this is an interesting thing that I've been working on personally.
Yeah.
So, and another one, actually, we have partners here too, is we're developing this AI system, which is helping recognize the different species just by hearing the sounds. So we can tell how rich in terms of biodiversity these forests are. And a lot of the communities that we work with have put aside land just for conservation, which took a long time to get there, by the way, because you need to develop the trust and cultivate that trust. But they have trusted us now after 30 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
And
I could talk about this for a very long time. So I only have 2 minutes.
and given the context, what feels most urgent, most important to keep her legacy alive?
I would say she tirelessly kept talking about the power of individual actions have.
Yeah.
Each and every one of us makes a difference each and every single day. And we get to decide what sort of difference that is going to be. The biggest danger to our future is apathy. And when you're apathetic, you feel like you don't matter. You feel like what you do isn't going to make a difference. So what do? You just sit back, you look, you throw your arms in the air and say, oh, well, let it be. What she envisioned, I feel, was this collective power that we all can create if we get together. If we get together with a passion for change, if we get together with our intelligence, and if we can inspire our young and let them know that there is still hope, then we have a chance. We have a chance to turn things around, but we need to act now.
Thank you. Federico, I turn to you. As a primatologist, can you give us an overview of the situation in the field when it comes to the protection of chimpanzees and what key actions you're working on, you're taking at the moment?
Okay. Let me show you this little stem, a tool created by an intelligent sentient being, as Jane did discover in Tanzania in 1960. This is from Senegal now, but this animal, our closest relative, is endangered across 21 African countries, especially in West Africa where I work. And the leading causes for that are threatening their survival are poaching, illegal trafficking, habitat loss and degradation, added to climate change and disease. But the Jane Goodall Institute is taking action because if we add all the great apes, all the populations of chimpanzees, bonobos, gorillas, and orangutans, and the most arrogant ape, Homo sapiens, we make up 99.999% of the great apes. And our growth, and we are numbering over 8 billion people now, and our unsustainable lifestyles are affecting the survival of other species, as we know. So JGI is working in Africa and around the globe, doing advocacy, doing environmental education, doing research in the field, and community center and community-led conservation, as Merlin mentioned, including agroforestry, community-led tree nurseries. We work in gender equality as well. And also, as you can see in the picture, we work in the rescue and rehabilitation of orphan chimps that were victims to poaching. And JGI has 2 sanctuaries, one in South Africa and this one in the Republic of Congo, where the team led by Rebecca Atencia there in the back has saved and rehabilitated over 200 chimpanzees.
Right. And what is the biggest challenge, in your view, in keeping Jane's vision alive across very different contexts?
Well, the biggest challenge and the most obvious one, in my view, is that we don't have Jane in person anymore as an organization. So she was so unique, irreplaceable, so extraordinary that we will need a lot of help, all the offices together, the 30 offices, to do just a bit of the work she did around the world. By the way, she was very wise. She was not afraid of death. She took it as her next adventure. And she even worked harder and faster up to the last day of her life, which was in October last year. And she planned for after her death to build a strong organization as JGI and Roots and Shoots. And she even worked in an idea that she developed. It was called Beyond the Founder, to make sure that the organization continues strong after she was no longer there. Last year, we had a meeting in the Netherlands, all the JGI directors and Jane and the boards, and we had a session on Beyond the Founder. And Jane became absent there, and we learned that her wish was that she should be incinerated after her death and her ashes be dispersed among all the offices just to be given back to the forest, dispersed there, so that they would nurture more trees that bear new fruit and give more seeds. And I see here lots of those seeds and seedlings that are growing and they are giving the right fruit. So I'm sure Jane is very happy about that.
Thank you, Federico. Thank you. Galitt. At the scale of a country like France, what are the core initiatives that you are working on at the moment?
Oh, like each of the 30 offices all over the world, we are co-developing projects in Africa, in Tanzania, obviously, in Burundi, in Uganda, in Congo, with Fede in Senegal, and also in a country which is amazing, a country that has 10% of all the spaces known all over the world. I mean, France, of course.
La France.
But for example, we have a reserve in France called the Reserve Jane Goodall. It's the only reserve in the world bearing her name, and it's a rewild reserve. And there, that is taken care and managed by ASPAS. And with ASPAS, we're doing scientist impact studies, and that's amazing to see the results of the rewild. It's this reserve that you can see in the picture. It's really beautiful, and as you know, the Jane Goodall Institute is a science-based NGO, and we conduct both and theoretical and applied research. Alfred Jane wasn't a scientist when she arrived in Tanzania, in Gombe, but it's at the heart of her work. And we keep on doing that, and with One Health also that you both guys are doing research. And on the technical side, as you were saying, Merlin, our partnerships with institutions like NASA, like Esri, like Google, allow us to better assess the progress that we're making on the field for the soils, for the forest. It allows us also to adjust when we don't have the expected result that we wanted, and so we can adjust very easily, very quickly. So that's really amazing. We can also track chimpanzees, as Merlin was saying, as never before, and monitor their behavior in a way we never could. So that's amazing.
And you also encourage young scientists, don't you?
Yes, we do. Here in France, we have le Prix du Jeune Chercheur. And if I may, the applications are just open right now, so do not hesitate to apply. And it's very important for us to encourage the youth at the beginning of their career, especially the ones that are working, and there are many people here in this audience that are working in the relationship between humans and animals. So that's very important for us to help and the young for the recognition and to give them help also.
Absolutely. And can you tell us a bit about your advocacy work as well, which is also very important? Your advocacy work.
Yes, it does. Actually, we try to raise awareness among the decision makers and the economic decision maker, political and economical. It's very important for us because we do it in order to have a better world for humans, for other animals, and for environmental. And to do so, we use our voice, we use our reputation, and we use our expertise. Because I don't know if you know, we are strongly committed in the fight against wildlife traffic. I think everyone here knows that this traffic is a crime one, that it's the fourth in the world, that it generates between 20 to 30 billions of dollars every year. And our approach is really to engage everyone, all stakeholders over there, the mayors, but the ministers, the NGOs, everyone, to drive change. And we do this sometimes publicly, but most of the time behind the scene, as Jane loved to do it.
Of course. And to move all of this work further, what does the Institute need?
The point is, may I just come back a little
Yes,
bit? I'm so sorry, I forgot to say something. I really wanted to say that we love to work in coalition. It's very important for us because we know that together we are stronger. And that's something that Jane always highlighted, and I have the quote she was saying, no organization, not one country alone can effectively end the illegal wildlife trade. Only our collective efforts and continued collaboration will eliminate this cruel trade. That's why we're working also and we're training judges and custom officials and everything, because we need everyone.
Along the way.
Each and everyone. Yeah. Yes, exactly. We can't do anything alone, and the stronger we are, the better results we can get.
Absolutely. And so it's not something that you can, we need collaboration, and beyond collaboration and training, what does the Institute need today to move forward?
As Federico I just said, Jane has sown the seeds, and it's up to us now to nurture them. And we need to honor Jane in each of all the areas we spoke about on community-centered conservation, on protection of chimpanzees, advocacy, of course, of youth programs, roots and shoots, science, but in the long term. And more than ever, we are determined to act on the field, to awake within us this never try to say it, that indominate spirit of the human mind.
Indomptable, un esprit indomptable.
Exactly, she was always speaking about that, and it's so true. And for this, we need everyone. We need the energy of the volunteers, we need the expertise of the professionals, and we need money, because it all began with Jane, but it will continue with all of us.
And it will continue also with youth. And actually, I would like to ask you a question about youth rapidly, because we're already, of course, running out of time, as we all, always. How do you engage with younger people who want to act for a better world, and also who can be feeling very disillusioned with what's happening in our world today? How do you engage? Merlin, do you have a few words you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, so I think a little while ago, when my grandmother was traveling the world, she realized that everywhere young people were losing hope, becoming apathetic. They were thinking, the world is in a mess. There's nothing that we can do about it. Our future is ruined. And she thought, is the world in a mess? That is true. But is there nothing that we can do about it? That is not true. So she got this group together. They called it Roots and Shoots.
Roots and Shoots, yeah.
The analogy itself has a whole story in it, but we don't have enough time to go into it. What I do right now is I go and speak with many schools, tell them about the program, get the interest of the kids, ask them who will be interested in joining. They raise up their hands. We get together after school, and then we talk about issues that they're facing and how they would like to tackle it. And one of the things that I think is important to mention is that young people was one of the reasons for hope that my grandmother had. She had 4, but the strongest one that she would always talk about was young people. Yeah. And I think we're yet to see the fruits of this. Very soon, all of these young people are going to be in decision-making positions. And we're going to see that the values that they grew up with and the change that they're going to bring.
And just to mention, there are 500,000 young people who are involved in Roots and Shoots in Tanzania, which is incredible. In France, 35,000.
Exactly, 35,000 that are so committed to act. And just this week, we were speaking about this yesterday, just this week, right now, we have youth of Roots and Shoots that are planting a mini forest, others that are helping elderly people, planting hedgerows. They are the ones that are volunteering in rescue, wildlife rescue centers. They're the ones that are doing cleaning walks next to the ocean, in the cities.
So many activities. Amazing. And
tomorrow here
yes?
at Change Now
Yes.
also, there will be the final of the contest of eloquence, le concours d'éloquence pour une paix durable, because the power of the words are amazing, and that was so important. And Jane was saying it, that together we can and together we will. And what matters is bringing hope into action.
yes, the power of words, and also the fact that when you express yourself, it's a power. So empowering youth to express themselves is also extremely important. Well, it seems it's already time to conclude this discussion, but I have just one last question in one sentence. If Jane were here with us today, what do you think she would ask us to do starting now? Galitt, you start. Oh no, you start. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think she would say, do your bit.
Do your bit. Okay.
That's so true. But maybe she would have said also, do it with fun.
Do it with fun, with joy.
And I believe that apart from that, Jane would do something else, not in the human language, but in chimpanzee language. She'd probably panhoot. I will not do it out of respect to her, though I used to do it in airports with her so as to communicate. And she would bring the voice of chimpanzees into this room, the voice of the voiceless,
The voice of
to
the voice.
remind us of our closest relatives, to remind us that we all are part of nature, that we have a role to play, and that we can use the gift of our lives to make this world a better place for all.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for these powerful insights and for also sharing everything that you're doing locally, globally. Please, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Jane's wonderful ambassadors. Thank you.